everyone has to make sure they create time for the assignments. All right, so that's it. I'm just going to start off. So from last class, what we did basically was we worked on we worked on form and we worked on list, and we're able to see some few things on the list view. We're able to see the interface of the list view. We also worked on form. Able to see the interface of the form, the UI of the form, and all that. And I did give a brief explanation of how to create a form, right? And the basic things you need to do in creating your form. Now, you create your form based on one significant thing. You create your form based on one significant thing, which is the user story. So that's the only way you can. That's one of the major way you can create it, right? You have to create it that way. If you don't create it, it's like you're doing your own job for yourself. But when you're working as an admin, what you need to know is you don't work based on your mentality. All these functionalities you are trying to harness, you're trying to learn, is just to work according to what you are given. So I won't say it's garbage in and garbage out, but if you don't know how to impersonate and you're giving a user story that says, because the question that's going to come out, it might be, oh, A complained that when she logged in, that this is what she can see. You've assigned a role to Mr. A, right? But A does not have the basic functionality of editing a form, which was the basic reason why you assigned that role to A. Now, if you are asked, how would you resolve that issue? Can be an interview question, right? Now, the simple answer to questions like that is you have to impersonate A because why? You are the system admin. So as a system admin, you impersonate A so you can see exactly what A, the view that A is assigned to, so you can know if you need to rework on it. Maybe the role was not assigned properly, or maybe you gave a different role. Now, that is through impersonation, you can get that information sorted. So these are the basic things. Like when you know the basics, when you know why, you know the why. So it's not just there's impersonation. Why are you impersonating somebody? So I try as much as possible to bring in the why in my explanation. Why are you doing this thing? Just like the list view. Why are you having a list view? Right? You only have a list view because you're creating your own personal list view because depend on your task you are working on, and you want to limit it to some certain information which you required in your form, in that your particular in that your interface. Like for instance, if I only work on incidents and I work on new forms, what is the point of having new in progress and all that? I only want to concentrate on what I'm being assigned to, right? That is why you are creating your own list view. Similar for form view. Why do you create template, right? Why would I create a template? You only create a template because this is like when you repeat some certain tasks, then you can create a template for it and say, okay, yes, with this template, it just ease your work. These are just little things that will make your work easy, right? You just create, okay, yeah, these are basic things I want on this template. Just for instance, now when you check some forms and you see that some parts are already pre-filled, those are just templates because they know that these parts are constant. No one's going to change it. You just work on it. So why do you use role? What is the role for? And like I've told you, the essence of a role is to restrict access to some certain information. That is the whole information. So if I take a role out of you, you cannot access any of those tables, right? So try as much as possible to know the why of every function, because everything we are doing, you can check YouTube. You will see step by step how to do it. You can check documentation. You will see step by step process how to do it. But most things you will not see online is why are you doing it, right? And that is the basic thing you have to look into, right? And as like I know I started off before Ime and Mike came in. I said one thing I will look out for going forward in this class, if you have if you are if you are working as at the time of the class, please ensure to inform me that, oh, I have a job or I'm doing so. If not, there's no point if I have to come to a class to teach, right? And we have only two people. It as better as me just creating a video and post it on the group for everybody to go and watch, right? So I don't spend this time and bring us all together. Then before we go on, there's something I did want to discuss before now. I want to know, just everyone can just go to the chat and just update me. This time, is it convenient for everybody, or we can move it forward? Can we move it forward a bit, or this time is convenient for everyone? Just drop down the chat. I know I just added it, but I just want to know if that's the reason why sometimes people might not be able to join in.
There is a
So just drop it on the chat if you feel this time is a bit convenient for everyone. If it's convenient for you, not everyone. If this time for this class is convenient for you, just go on the chat and just type yes. If it's not convenient, no. We'll take the more yes to no and we'll carry on, continue like that. No time, please. Let's just do that immediately. Everyone just go to your chat. If this time is convenient for you, it's okay, yeah, that's one. The others, yeah, that's two. Okay. Festus, Mike, and Jackson, I need your input, please. All right, let's just make this thing interactive, please. Drop your okay. All right. No. All right. Mike, what about you? You prefer seven? Okay. Mike, what about you? Jackson, what about you?
you mean 7 p.m.?
No, he's just saying 7 p.m. I didn't. I said, is this time convenient for you as a person?
Um, I think I might say yes or no, but I think I always like inform you because like today now, um, I would say for now it's okay. Let
All
me
right.
not
So
complicate the
your
whole
own
thing.
is
Yeah.
okay. All right. Okay. All right. So since we have three yes, I want to know. I'm sorry. We just have to. What you can do is you reach out to me later, and if you can't join the class, just I could drop my number there. Private chat me on your questions. Like if you could ask everyone, I always try to respond to everybody that try to reach out to me. Be it any question you're having, any challenge, I would always try, and as much as I want to assist, I want to be there completely for you guys so that the end point is trying to get the certification and trying to move over and trying to get a job. I start on a good note that I've been getting, just to encourage you guys, I've been getting so many invites for interviews on ServiceNow developer, though I don't get much on admin because my profile does not just cover only admin. My profile covers admin, developer, BA, and also SAM, software asset management. And I even have knowledge on ITOM, which is I also have knowledge on ITOM, which is basically just the CMDB and all that. Now, what I'm just trying to say is you don't have to just relax and say, oh, I'll get this part and stop. There are so many jobs. People are migrating to service now, right? Lots of people are migrating to service now. For those that are already working in service now environment, you know what I'm talking about. So don't stop, keep pushing. It might be stressful because of work and life and family, but the basic thing is don't stop, right? If you try to achieve something today, it's not working. That's my motto. Try tomorrow. If tomorrow don't work, try next tomorrow, right? One will work. So that is it for now. Since I've done an overview of the previous class, I'm just going to share my slides. All right, guys. This is what we're going to work on today, right? Evaluate requests, enhance, include new application and their customization, exhibit of working knowledge of ServiceNow database, the architecture and database administration concept, utilize ZMAP, which is just to show, establish appropriate table and field access control. That will be later on. So these are things we're going to work on going forward, right? So we'll start with the first one, which is also same as table, right? This is just same as what table. Now, when you talk about table, for everyone who's done mathematics, you will notice that there's what they call row and column. Now, your table comprises of your row and your what? Your column. Now, in ServiceNow, it's not different. It's not different in ServiceNow. They use that same ideology in ServiceNow to to trying to create something. Now that rules and table, everything brings up down to you to be called as your what? Your database. So I've always known that based on my understanding of ServiceNow, that everything you do is what? Everything you've done in ServiceNow and you want to save them is always in what? In your table. So ServiceNow organize what? The data that ServiceNow is organized what in a data structured database format. So that's just the grammar. Structured database format, right? Using what? Tables, records, and fields. Now, what do you call your table? Your table is a collection of record in your database. So your collection of record in your data in this your database, there's collection of all this your record in your database. So table is these two inside this place, inside this place. That's just the easiest way, right? Now, what is your record? This one. You can see that's why I indicated it. Is this row? And what is your field? Is this column? Now, there's another one, like it's a value. A value is a data where the field and record intersect. So at any point, this is a value. Where this column meets this row is a value. Where this column meets this row, it's a value. Now, just for your visualization, because the idea of this is just for you to have understanding before we go into the normal practical stuff, because this one is just a bit of do some an understanding of knowing why. Then we'll go to Anson.org, we'll go on the live, we'll go on your PDI, and we check and we do similar to what you've understood before. All right, so if you can see, this is what I just explained. And you have this one, you have your user, these are your columns, this is your header, so this is a column, right? This is your field, and this is your what? Your row, this is your record. So in every field, for instance, this is user ID, you have Abi Tuta, this is the name, the email, and the location. So you can see it here. So this just tells you exactly what I just explained. Now, it's you have your list view from this. So when you see this, this is you get a list view of all your users, right? So you get that list view, display multiple records from this table. Now, another thing you need to know that there's what they call dictionary. It stores the definition of table and field in ServiceNow. That stores the definition of what tables and field in ServiceNow. So when you click, when you're trying to, you go to a form and you right click, you always notice there's a part where they call dictionary, right? So in that dictionary, you can, like when I said dictionary override, I've had that question countless time in my interviews where they ask me what is dictionary override, and my explanation to that, how for my own understanding, you can have your own understanding to it. But for my own understanding is, if you have a form, if you have a field which is which inherit the characteristics from the parent, right? Because that field is out of the box. Now, when you're trying to update it, when you're trying to change any of the choices, like you are immediately overriding it, right? You're overriding it. Now, there's what they call sys ID, a unique qualifier assigned to every record. So for every record, if you check, it has a sys ID, which I'm going to also show to you guys. Where you have your sys ID. Now, after that, the next part you will go to, I'll just go back to this slide again. Is this your database, right? When before now, before I started doing anything about the IT, understanding IT environment, I feel I have a different understanding of database. But in service now, it's different. Database, right? This database is just data that is stored in table which contain records. That is at the database in service now. So everything you are seeing, I would say to me that ServiceNow is just a very advanced Excel sheet, because I've used Excel for quite some time then, and we always there's always when you have loads of information on your Excel, sometimes it might get corrupt, and once it gets corrupt, you know that you've lost all your information. Sometimes trying to even get them back becomes difficult. So with that, since everything is stored in the cloud, there's little or no, little percentage of you losing any information, right? Because it's well protected. They have all the parastatals in place to protect your data and to save it from every malicious activity and all that. So going on to your data, your database and all that, the records stores field, and field define what data is stored, right? The record store your field, and the field determine what data exactly is stored. So you can see it here. So this this is the row, right? This is the field. Now the record, right, stores all this information, and this one tells you exactly for user ID for Able Tutor. This is the name is Abel. So these are the information that are stored. So it's just saying, at the end of the day, ServiceNow provides predefined core table and all custom table to be created. Now, this thing you are seeing here, this user is a core table because it's out of the box. So take note, there are some basic things I will be pointing out, that these things they're a bit intertwined, but if you understand their concept, you know that they are different. They are being explained in different terms. Now, the things we will look out for before that, the next thing I'm going to be dealing on is when you access stable in ServiceNow. How do you access stable in ServiceNow? Now, there are two ways now. There's what they call table builder, and also you can access table under system definition. There's table there. You can access table there too. And so which I'm going to show to you as the class goes on. And also apart from that, where we have your just know that in your table, right, there are some things that you have about out of the box. First of all, you're trying to create a table. There's 20 out of the box field that are already filled for you by ServiceNow. those ones they are already predefined by service now. They just come up there, but you can add to it, you can customize it, you can create it. So in a table, you have a field column. You have an indexing which improve the search and number of how large your data set is. So when they say index is numbering, like have a number like so if all this information there, if I go on my database and check how many users I have, it will give me a broad idea of I have about 1,000 users there, so I can be able to manage it. So it can be your table can extend from one table, can extend from a parent table, just like tax and incidents. We're going to get to that now. In a table, they have what we call relationship. We have what we call relationship. Table can be related to each other in various ways. It can be one to many. It can be many to many. There's also what they call database view. Database view. It wasn't in the. It's just been added about maybe this Zurich between Zurich and maybe like 2 sessions back. But I know before that. Uh, I know Paris didn't have it. Paris didn't have this database view and all that. Now, then you have the extension, incident table extended from tax table. Now, if you look at this thing, they are just I won't say they are self-explanatory, but I'm just going to explain more. When one person requests item one, item two, that is, take for instance, if I am in uh my name is Moses, for instance, and I'm in two different group. It's just explanation of one to many. So I can be Moses and be in two different groups. Yes, correct or no? Yes, correct. Now, many to many, you can see the explanation there. A role, one role can be assigned row A and row B, right? Can be assigned to what group A and also group B. So the simple explanation is that is if I have a group of IT IT group, for instance, and I want them to be able to they need a certain permission to work on table A and table B. Now they need to have access to table A and access to table B, right? So and at the same time, each of those groups can be linked to each of the roles again. So in terms of role, we're going to see that also. Role and group relationship are many to many. But when it comes to users and group, you can have a user in so many group, right? Because like we said, you don't give a role to a user. You assign a role to a group. The best practice is not to give a role to a user. Uh, And also you have this database view. So it's just a table that join user with the database view plugin. You can have a look there. You have your CMDB and your uptime metrics. You're going to see that. And we have extension. When we talk about extension, we're just saying if you notice, I've been using that phrase a lot, where something extends from you get your characteristics from the parent. Now, take note, tax table is a core table, is also a base table, and is also a parent table. So I'm going to explain that also, but that's just when it comes to how they look. Now, when you say uh a further explanation to your one to many could be an incident table that reference user table, right, through a color field. I'm going to show that also. It reference a color table that reference what a user table through the color field. I'm going to show that, and also the one to many, like I've explained. When it comes to that database view, a chart table inherited from the parent table. Now, example could be no. That one is about your CI and your CMDB and your uptime, which I'm going to also try and display to you guys. Now, another thing you need to know before we go down to our PDI is you need to know about your type of tables in ServiceNow. When we say type of tables in ServiceNow, what kind of tables do we have? Which I did make mention of some before. So we have your, sorry, excuse me, you have your base table to start with. You have your extended or parent table, right? It used to be called extended, but now it's called parent table. So don't get confused by extended or parent table. Now, we also have what is called core table, right? And lastly, we have customized table. So these are the four type of tables we have. Now, we'll take the first one. What does it mean? What do we call a base table? In a simple term, a base table are not extended from any other table. Now, a base, once you create an application, if as long as you do not create the application from start and is extended from another table, it cannot be called a base table. So any table that does not extend to any other table is called your base table. Now, when you go to your parent table or your extended table, which I call it, we're just saying a table that inherits fields from another table. So if you can see, this is a example of a parent table, tax table. Now, incident, problem, and change, they are all extended from tax table. They get all their features from tax table. Go on to the next one, which is your core table. When you say your core table, we're on about those table that have been created by ServiceNow. Now, when you hear the word out of the box in ServiceNow, someone might just ask you, what is out of the box? Out of the box is just telling you that these are already defined properties, attribute in ServiceNow. Property, let me just say attributes or basically functions. Let me use the word functions. Now, if you go onto your ServiceNow instance, your PDI, and you just try to go to incident. Incident table has already been created even before you did anything. Now, every table that has been created that you do not create, design yourself, it's called a core table. Now, custom table, by the word custom, it tells you everything. It means that the developer created that, and take note, I'm always using this word to meet business needs. You can't just create table for creating sake. You have to create it because there is need for that table, right? And we are going to create our own custom table, and I will show you the similarities on how to what you need to if you don't want to extend the table or if you want to just go ahead. So with that, you could see that this is just a visualization of how what it means to have something extended for. Now take note, all this table, incident, problem, change, tax, they are all core table. The reason why, because ServiceNow pre-created them already for us. We didn't do anything about those tables. All right. So that takes us to when you talk about the flow of relationship between table. Now that's where your schema map comes into play. Now it just show you a graphical representation of your table relationship. How is this table connected to the other table? How is this other table connected to another table? Now, mind you, when you try to create an application, there is a part where you will define the scope, right? Now, when I say scope, the service now have different way, different method of restricting access to different applications, right? Now, first of all, the first access restriction you should know is role-based access. Role-based access, as long as you don't have a role, you cannot access that application at all. You cannot even get close to. So if I create a PDI for you, I create a user for you, and I give you zero access, there's literally nothing you can do. You can only go in there and just look at it. Like you can just see, depending on the access you are given. That's the first way you can restrict people. Another way you can restrict people is through your scope. Now, scope determines who can access and use the application, or where the application is available within the organization. Now, if I scope it, if I create an application and I create a scope for it, if you don't have that particular role from that scope, if I don't assign it to you, if you don't have access control, like I need to assign that role to you. If I don't assign it to you, you cannot. You can't do anything. So when you say people are creating a role, it's based on the application that has been created, right? From the application that they create, then you get the role from it, which you can assign that people can use and access those particular what any particular application. We're also going to see that. Now, when it comes to your scope, you should know that there are two options in your scope. We have the global and we have the scoped. Now, when you say global, it means the application is available across the entire organization. So any authorized user, as long as you have the required role, right? You have the required role and you can access those information, you're allowed. You can use it. Now, when I say scope, this is an application that is restricted to a particular group. So if I design my own scope, I'm trying to restrict people to have access to that particular application. A simple example is an HRO application that is used by only human resource department. That has to do with your finance. Now, you can be working in an HRO department, but you are not privy to see, you're not allowed to see what the information of people's salary. You might not have the access. So your own work might be, oh, in HR, there are different uh, activities in the HR department. Some people are just concerned about just taking record of who comes late, who is sick, and all that. They have different people that will be in charge of how much should these people get paid and all that, payrolls and all that. The HR manager can have all access, but it's going to limit access to based on your duties, right? Now, you can also use scope, first of all, to take out those people that are not in HR department completely first. If you create your own scope, you don't make it global, only HR team can have access first to that HR application. Now, with further restriction, that is where we're going to get to your access level control, right? Which we're going to also discuss. So that one is for that. Now, a brief about your tax management. Now, it's just referred to as a systematic process of assigning, tracking, completing work item, right, within an organization. Now, a task is any record that can be assigned to a user group and track towards completion. When you say a task, it's just like if I give you a task now, if I give you an assignment, I'll give you a task. But in service now, it's similar. As long as it has to do with where any record that can be assigned. So me giving you an assignment, I'm giving you a task because I can assign that particular assignment to a user. Can assign it to I can assign it to either you, Okwe, or anyone, basically. So
Can you hear me, guys?
Yes, yes.
All right.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can hear you.
Okay. Okay. I'll continue. Now, so when you have that, now under a common example of tax can be your incident, problem, request, tax. Mind you, when you if you go through your PDI and you check incident form, you see incident form is where people are lodging, they are trying to lodge a complaint. That's incident, right? When you talk about problem, is the reoccurrence of an issue. So what happened? This thing is not working. Oh. Okay, we are lodge it. So after you've reported an incident, they create a problem, right? When it keep reoccurring, they push it to problem. Now, after problem, you can have a request. Request can be, oh, we need to change some certain parts. Oh, we need to change some certain parts. You have to make requests before you get to change management. So that's a triangle. Like it's just it's like a roadmap when it comes to your tax, right? Now, this structural approach ensure that work progress efficiently. So you cannot just say from having an issue to just going down to solve the issue. No, we want to have a track record of what is happening. How is this thing? Where is it happening for? How long has it been happening? Now, the key component of tax management is tax assignment, right? You have to assign that tax to a user or a group. That's the only way it will work. Now, workflow progress, stage of initiation, from the stage of initiation to completion. Now, tracking and reporting. When you come to tracking and reporting, it's just about the tools to monitor the tax status, the deadline, and the performance metrics, right? Which will enable what? Efficient management and continuous improvement. Now, like I said, I just gave an example. I've explained it from where you create an incident report, you assign it to someone who is in charge, who specializes in that department, and people take charge, go work on it, come back. Once it happens again, you have to open the problem incident and say, because that is how we will know that this thing has been recurring and all that, takes you to the next stage and all that, and that is it, you get it sorted. Now, the tax table structure is like it serves as a foundation table for managing tax. That is why you can see from the slide that tax there is very important in service now. Very, very important. The incident, problem, and change. If you're an ITSM, IT service management, you will be working more on incident, problem, change request. You're working on those form, you can when you get to you become a developer, sometimes you have to write a script that can maneuver some certain things to suit the company's what um based on the company's request or the business need. So most times they don't call it, take notes, they always refer to when you working in service now, it's when you're trying to work on a task, it has to be based on the business need, right? That will be based on your business needs and all that. So we're also going to see a table structure of your table structure of your tax. Now, like I said, tax is your foundational table for managing tax, right? So it provides a structure, a standard structure that other tax related table like your incident, problem, and change can extend from. So this hierarchy arrangement also ensures that there's consistency and it's reusable across what various application. So take notes. Now, this one is just an addition. Now, additional functionalities associated with your tax are approval. When they say approval, if I'm your the manager of like if I'm the manager of this class, right? And you are trying if you have a this is a small IT department, for instance, I am the manager, and you want to get laptop or you want to replace your laptop and all that, you need to come to me first, right? I will have to give the go ahead and saying, yes, this thing should go. It needs a laptop. So someone has to approve what you're doing. So when it comes to approval, it's just saying someone that is required, that is a certain task that may require what approval in your process, and someone has to be there. It has to be either manual or automatic. So it's part of your, it's just a functionalities in task. There's what they call service level agreement. When you say service level agreement, it's just an expected time frame for task completion. How long these tasks need to be completed, it has to be there. You need to know how long it has to. So for some certain job, like what I do, I have it could be a sprint. So within that time frame, sometimes it could be 2 weeks, depends. I need to have completed my tasks. So that time frame is what we call your service level agreement. Assignment rule is just like just to streamline operational service operations in service now, to allow the creation of a rule that automatically assign. So that assignment rule, when they create assignment rule, is if someone calls, if you're working at the customer care and where you get a lot of incident form, instead of you manually assigning those tickets to people that are going to resolve it, you can write an assignment rule, and that assignment rule will help you automatically distribute those tasks to the people that are necessary, the people that are supposed to what to resolve that particular issue. Now, when we leverage service now tax management capabilities, right? What do we gain? What is the benefit? Why? Right? First of all, to ensure that we ensure that tasks are efficiently assigned, right? That they are tracked and completed. And if these things are orderly, it can lead to what improve operational efficiency and high service delivery, right? So if a situation where I have four customer care personnel, and we have about 10,000 customers or users, right? And people are trying to lodge a complaint. If we are waiting on only that four to attend to these 10,000 people, it's going to be cumbersome for them. It will be calamity, like it's going to be chaos. So with your assignment rule, immediately any complaint comes in, they know exactly where they are channeled to, right? And the ones that you can rework on, revisit, maybe they start calling and all that, you log a complaint, and they're all channeled to the right direction for efficiency, and it gives you proper what output. Now, it just ensure what efficient what process, basically. That will ensure efficient what process. Now, another thing you need to know is I've actually touched on them, is just basically tax table and its extension. Now, while you're creating your own table, you can also start with extending it from tasks. If all the functionalities that you need are embedded in task table, don't go and create anything new. Just go there, just go there when you are creating it and just get it directly from your tax table and edit. So it doesn't have to take you much time. You don't have to stress yourself. Just get it like that and edit. So without wasting much time, we are going to go to our PDI and start working on the tables. Before I go further, does anyone have any question, any challenge, anything you don't understand from what I've said?
Hello, sir.
Yeah, carry on. Listen,
Yes,
please.
please. Sorry, the instance we requested for the main one. Any
Yeah.
idea when it will come up?
Okay, I will give you a clue what I did. It might work for you, it might not work for you, but what I did basically is if you have already created you've already registered in service now to save yourself so much stress. What you can do is register new service now instance and don't go for Australia, go for Zurich. Now, when you go for Zurich, it will ask you to update it to Australia. So when you are updating, to be easier because that's how I got an instance without wasting time. But if you go for Australia, there's a long queue already of people trying to get to Australia. And so when you upgrade it, probably you just get a new patch, everything changes. What the new security features comes in already and all that. So the best way to go about that is making sure that you can just start up a new one and request for a lower version first because that one is not really in use right now. So most of time you can have the lower version and you move over to what the higher version. So I think that would try that. That would help.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Do anyone have any question on this table? If you don't have any question, I have questions for you. So what do we call a call table? What's a call table? So if I ask now, for instance, I say incident table, earlier solution table, management table, which of them will be a call? Which of them is not a call table in that option?
You could repeat.
All right. So I said, if you have a, for instance, which of the following is not a call table? One, incident table, problem table, earlier solution table.
It should be earlier solution table now because you created that.
Exactly, because I created that one. So how would you know is you are going to see a sign. So all incident table, they don't have any prefix in front of it. But every custom table, I was supposed to add that every custom table has a prefix of U underscore in front of it. So if you go to my instance, if you go to a table that if I create a table, you're going to see it there where it's going to show that U underscore the name of that my particular table. So guys, we're going to have a 10-minute break, which is going to be from now, and we'll come back 4:05. 4:05, we'll just reconvene again so that I can just do one or two take water and all that.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on the the person that asked for the instance that
Okay.
is requested of. Yeah. I think what I did was to start the course itself. Perhaps maybe starting the course shows that you're active. So if you start the course, reaching the instance section. So if you request for it, it didn't take time. For me, it didn't take time for it to be approved.
All right. So
Yeah.
you've had another option. Probably when I had the issues with my instance, I just went to that course and I was having free instance to work with. But if you want to have your own instance too, because not all the time it's been updated now. Before you have to wait for a while to get your instance ready and all that. So I do prefer my own personal PDI where I can easily just do all I want to do. Still similar to starting up the course and requesting for instance. So all right, guys. We've used 1 minute, so converting back 4:05. Everyone, please. Thank you. All right, guys. So we're just going to go straight up to. Anyway, welcome everyone. We're back to the session again. Still on today's class, working on tables. So I'm just going to share my screen. All right. Can you all see my screen? I believe so. All right, that's good. So this is your, if you want to check your task table, basically what you can do is you just type task dot list. It will take you to your task table. But majority of times we don't have any business to do with your task table here, except you're trying to create something. So where we're working on, ServiceNow just included another feature called table builder. So once you type table, you see your table builder. We're going to work on the table builder, but first, let's go back to the initial table, initial way of creating a table in ServiceNow before the invention or introduction of table builder. So if you go to your system, like what I say to people, you don't have to cram anything until you start using ServiceNow and you have all the shortcuts. Just go through the normal process. When you are working, shortcut is for yourself to make your job fast. No employee will ask you, you must use shortcuts. If that's not the standard procedure, it's not a standard procedure. So what I do is I go to system. You can type table or you can go to system definition. Still similar thing. So under system definition, you can click on what tables. Now, when you click on table, this is exactly what I showed you guys on that slide. You have your rows, right? This is a list view. Now, these are all rows and column. They are all tables. These are all different kind of tables being created for for any applications, right? They are all, so this is where all the information are stored. So if you click on this table, it's not letting me. Okay, running transaction 18 minutes. All right, so when you have a table, you can see a control, access control. You can see security data files, label, index, table transaction. I did not create all this table, right? I didn't do anything. I just clicked on a table that has been created already. But for you to understand how it works and how to create a table, we'll start from scratch. So if I'm having issues going back, what can I do to go back to that initial place I've been before, the initial tab? What would the answer be? So take for instance, you've been clicking on so many different apps, and you want to go back to one of the app. You just don't want to overstress yourself. What do you have to do, guys? So for sake of time, you just go. You do what?
I don't.
Yeah, I can hear you. What do you say?
I was thinking you use the URL. The I don't know what you call that.
No.
But I don't think
Can
that's
any
the
other
one.
person try?
I think you just copy the target /system_db, then stop at do or something.
Okay, I will come back again with the question, right? If I have clicked on so many tabs on different applications, right, and I want to go
You
back,
go to your history.
yes, just go to your history. So that is what I'm trying to
Okay.
say. If you understand the why you are doing it, when you study and you understand the why, it's very easy. When you see a question, you know what to do. When somebody even asks you in an interview, even if you have not created multiple tables, but because you understand how this thing is created, it's easy for you to answer questions. So as much as we're trying to learn, I'm still giving you an insight of how to prepare yourself for interviews, right? The basic things you need to know. As much as you also study from your own point, I'll try as much as possible to give you more information on how to prepare yourself for interviews also. So we'll continue. I can hear you clearly. This is my fan. The heat here is something else, Lord. We'll carry on. All right. So when you have a table, the first thing you do is you click on new. So you is this when you click on that new is a UI action, right? Because like I told you in one of the classes, I said anything that will lead you directly to something you can do, it's an action. So that's the UI action, right? Now you have to give it a name. You give it a name and label. Name and label. Now, when you give a name, when you give a label, for instance, say Elax Solutions. So you can see only what you have to do is just give it a label. Once you give it a label, automatically the name will be created. So in this particular state or stage, the first thing you do is when you create a label, when you try to create a table, the most important thing is the name, the label. Once you put in your label, automatically it creates what a ServiceNow version where they understand that this is the name that has been created. So any table that starts with U underscore is what is a custom table. Now, if I have to show you, if I have to show you something, so if you check under your incident, you're not going to find anything as U in front of it. Now, this is a core. When they ask you, what do you, so when you are asked, what are your core tables? You will say incident. Why? Because incident is being created by what? By ServiceNow. We don't create it. But the ones we create, the ones we are going to create, or the ones that have been created by people that are not, that's not been out of the box by ServiceNow, they always start with what? With a U. So let's carry on. So do we want to extend it from a table? Yes or no? So we're going to create one that is extended from a table, and we're going to create one that is not extended from a table. Now, this one will be the one that is not extended from a table. If you notice, ServiceNow is giving a warning here. They say ServiceNow recommend creating custom table in scope application. To learn more, it just recommends, but it doesn't matter. You can, for sake of learning, we're still going to get to where we create an application and we have to create a scope. So under your ServiceNow Studio, we'll do that. We'll create an application where we have to create a scope for it. But for now, we're just going to go with the global. Now, the question is under your create menu. Now, when we say application, we have application menu and modules, right? So if you go to your ServiceNow instance and you click on all, under application, under incident, like this is your application menu. Now you have your modules under it. So you can see assign, open, all these things you can create them for yourself. Right? They are not, you can create everything depending on what. So this one is admin center. So if I'm using admin center, it means I'm just using out of the box something that's there. So you can create new one. So when I say create new one, what name do I want to give you the module? Sorry, I want to give the module Elax solution. Now I can also create some application menu under it. So now, what do we have to do next? You come to your table. You see all these things you can see here. You can start by saying insert. When you insert, you start filling each table depend on what you are given. So I have a slide where it's going to tell us the all right. So I want you guys to take notes. So the first thing we have is your name. The other one we have is a serial number. So this is what I want in my table. Now, take notes. When you have a table, there is going to be where there will be input of figures, where there will be input of data, which is your form. So when you create a table, you will create a form that people would fill. Is from filling that form, that is where you get your data that will be stored in that particular table. So if I am a lecturer or I represent an institution, right, and I need students, how will I track them? I can only track my students by first of all asking everybody to register. And when you register, I have all the information. I'll be able to track each of the students. Just a second, please. 1 second. Sorry for that. So just take note. This is what we're going to be working on. Uh, let me see if it's going to change. All right, so I'm going to I'm going to go back to that screen so that we can work on this form I just showed you guys. All right, so the first one was name. I'll just type name. Hmm. So when you're done, when you type your name, there's always this green tick sign. You have to click on it for you to save it. You click on what? Save. Now, when you click on save, you go to the type. What kind of um what kind of information are you saving there? Now, when you see anything like a lookup in front of a form or in front of a column, just know that it's referring you to something that you have to choose from. So, name field, most of the times or all the time, your name fields always involve string. For those that have not had anything to do with string is just a range of alphabet that needs to be, like, you can choose it. String could be a name of alphabet, could just be names of alphabet, any configuration of alphabet in that particular column. So I'm going to go for that particular option, string. And if I'm having difficulty in finding string, there's no need to stress myself. I go to the search bar and I type string. So don't, in service now, you've made life very easy that if you feel trapped or anything, just go to the search bar and you have a global search also. If you have anything you know you've created and you cannot find it, go to the search bar. It will search your ServiceNow instance and bring out everything that has that name on it. And you can choose, right? You can choose from any of the options that you've created that has the name to see if that's what you want or what you're looking for. So I'm going to click on string. I'll tick good. Now we'll go down to reference. Under reference, you will notice that, like I said it in my first class, that they have single data, like a single place where all information are stored. So what are you comparing the names to? Are you trying to say, oh, I want new people to register, or I'm going to use the usernames in ServiceNow? If I'm going to use the username in ServiceNow, then I have to come here and say what? And just go to you can go to system. If I click on system, it's going to give it. If I go to sys_user, sys_user. Now, under sys_user, you have different. So you pick the first one, which is user. You have sys_user. Now, this one is like this, your users that you have in your ServiceNow. Oh, oh, yes. All right, so sys_user.list, for those that created user from that second assignment, it means these are people in your instance. So that is the question here, right? First of all, you have your content menu. Now, these are all your content. You have your main menu. Just you have your UI action where you have your submit and cancel. You have the name of the table there, which is table new record. Now, you're trying to create one. All these, like I said, label is the name of that particular table. Name is the six name. So if you go to your URI you're going to see that there's system underscore database underscore object. That is the name that is going to show, right? When you want to work on anything on Ella solution, this is what you will see. You're not going to see Ella solution. You're going to see this on your URL. Now, application. I've explained application. If you say global, everyone can access it. But when you say scoped, you are trying to change it, saying this only these people that have access can access it. Now, create a model. So you can also create a mobile model. So it means that if I open my ServiceNow instance, I can check this particular table on my phone. But if I don't click on create a mobile model, I won't be able to access this mobile model on my phone. Right? So, like I said, depend on your what business need, business requirement, or depend on your user story, which is tailored to a business need. That is how you create whatever you create, either a table, whatever you're given to what to do. So, um, remote table or in is data interface. So we don't use them. Like I said, depending on what you are given, tells you what to use. Now, first of all, we have to create this. Then you see the option, these options here, and you're able to see what they are used for, what they are used for basically. Now, after we've done the name, the first thing you have to work on is your column. Don't go to control, go to your column first, because that's where you're going to start your creation. And I've already showed what we're doing. Oh, at least I just remembered. So we're going to work on old graphic handheld HHD. It's similar to it's similar to what you have in your ServiceNow learning. So I believe with that, it can help one or two persons to know that you can just easily do it. Or you can use the same method, right? And it will work. All right. So I'm just going to pick users. I'm going to type user there. Um, because the user did not come out straight up, so I'm going to go through 6 underscore user. Click enter. So I pick the first one, which is user. So it means that everything they are going to reference, it's going to be user. So when you say reference, reference is like a connection from one table to another table. So when we get there, you see that people can be able to choose their names from the user table. So if you want to connect a table to another table, you use reference. Now, the maximum length of the name? I could say, oh, because I'm using a user table, the length will not be important anymore. But if I was not using a user table, I'm trying to make people fill in their names, then there will have to be a length. Default value. When you open a form, right, most times you just see a name on it, like the label on it. Now, when you go to default value, you are going to see a label on it. The label you create now, whatever you put there is what will display there. So when you open that form that I showed you initially, if I put a name, it means that I'm just trying to give people more understanding, explanation of what I want on that particular field. So that is for this one. Display. By default, default already. So we are going to do example where we'll choose default and display true. And default and display yes, so you can have what more visibility. But if I don't get to that before the end of the class, it's just for you to go and practice. Another thing you need to know is in ServiceNow, 90% of what you will learn, right, will help you will open up your mind to learn other things. So the most inquisitive ones are the ones that end up seeing some other things that they are not told. But if you go and play with it, you have more understanding. All right, so I'm done with that first one. I'll go on to the second one. Now I have serial number. Serial number. I'll tick yes. Now, under serial number, type. What do I want in my type? So we'll go looking. Can look for number. So floating point number or phone number. So here we have serial type. Um, no. So I've forgotten that one, but I'm just going to use phone number first till I get what I'm looking for. We'll just say phone number first. So we have string. Oh my phone. We have true or false. Just a minute. I don't want to. Oh, I'm trying to. Okay. Yes. All right. Just a minute. I go to this layout. So if you forget anything, you have to know how to find what you want. Why is it taking time now? All right, so while it's loaded up, let's just go back to what we're doing. All right, so I put phone number there. Now, do I want to reference it to anything? Depends. But if I don't want to reference it, I leave it like that. So even this one that's a string, this one that says user, I can also take it out so that people they fill the form and it comes back to me. So I've done that, taking that out. The length of this one, I can say yes, I want length. The serial number should not be more than 16. Can be less than 16, but it should not be more than 16. Now we'll go on to the next one. Um, Asset tag. So click on asset tag. Yes. Let me see if it's here. Okay. All right. So this is what I was trying to look for. So with this, I can get you're going to see all of it here. So you have choice, you have condition, you have currency, you have decimal, you have document, domain, due date, duration, feed name, or so we have long. So all these things have names, they have meaning to them. If you want to understand more, just copy them, copy all of them. If you can copy, you copy them, and you can go to either ChatGPT or any of the AI tools and just put it there and say you should explain. It's going to give you all the explanation that you want. All right, so go back. I've seen what I'm looking for. All right, I chose decimal there. Firmware version. Okay, so we have what So also the same thing, you right click, you double click, you type firmware version. So first of all, there are two things you need to know in ServiceNow. So once you click submit, right, you are asking it to take you to a new table. It will leave its place entirely. But once you click on save, you will still be on that interface that you are in. So that is just an addition. So if I come here and I click on save, all right. So if you all notice, there were some tags, some things here I did not create by myself, right? So if you check, created date was not by me, created by was not by me, right? So the only things I have created, you see them that have this X in front of it. Those are the custom things that I added to that table. But automatically, apart from that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, they are automatically there. By default, they will be there. Now, if you come down, you're going to see what is called primary sys ID. Earlier, now this sys ID is a 32 number, can be alphabet. It's that 32 number. So if you come up here, if you check from this percentage from 3D up here on my URL 3D, if you check yours, you're going to find it and count it to the C9. So these are specific ID. That's the sys ID I told you, that they are assigned to each of these tables that are created. Right? They are assigned to them. So these are just information. You can have that on your exam. They might not ask you on your interview, but in your exam, they can ask you. There was how many number or a sys ID is something that sys ID is 37. What is that? No, how many number is the sys ID? Just take note, it's 32. Now, when you come back, control. When you say control, it's just if you are extendable, saying we got that from a tax table, right? It's going to get all those information from that tax table. So it extends, you just like what I explained, extended table to you guys. Now, another thing is what? Live feed. So if you say live feed, for instance, we just like saying when you create it, automatically these things should show, right? Now, when you say auto number, when people are creating this particular, they're filling the form, the number, you can have a number column where these things will, you don't have to create it again yourself. It can be digital, you can add a number to it, you can put the number of digits. So it will just keep creating there by itself. You don't have to do anything. Now, create access control. If I make this particular table scope, right? Everyone that don't have this row. So when I say create a row, for instance, the other time, I'll just give you guys an insight to how role is being created. But in the real sense, roles are created based on application. So if you are not getting the dots now, roles are created based on application. So when you create an application, you have to create a role. You can create different roles for that application. Now, because it's an organization, you cannot create an application that have different roles and assign them to each of your staffs, thereby controlling what, limiting what they have access to. All right, so you go into application access. Now, the application access is like you are giving people ability to read, create, update, and can delete. So these are the ability. Now, and take note, if I come here, if I do anything new here and I click on update, if I click on update, automatically it will take me to the table because it means I am done here. But if I click on save, I will still be on this same page. So before I carry on, does anyone have any question? Is there any question? Because I want to give my assignment now so that I can continue my explanation. Okay, so if there is no question, here is your assignment. So what I want you guys to do is, I've given you guys the step on how to start this up. So I'm going to continue, but I want you to design your table. You should have this name, holographic handheld HHD, right? So if I want to create a new record in your table, so take for instance, I'm going to show you that also. If I want to create a new record, that is what should show. So if for instance, I'm going to come back to this again. If for instance, I click on update, so let me drop this on the chat. So this is exactly how I want the content of your table to look like. All right, just give me a second, please. It's not coming out. But after the class, I will drop the user story for you to create this. So let's just go back to what we're doing. All right, guys. And now, so how do we find the table we just created? So I'll go back to my history. Now click on, let me see. No, I'll go back to my history. Can click on tables. Now on that table, I have to click on what? Elax. So it's loading. So now we've created a table. If you come to your applications, put Elax there. So you can see. No, this is not Elax solutions. All right, so we're going to come back when we're done with this one. Then we're just going to create application menu. So for application menu, you can come here, go to all, just click on your application menu. So you can see here, so under system definition, so these are different menus in your application. You can also create yours from there by clicking on new. Well, let me just wrap up what I'm trying to do first. All right, so it's not allowing me do anything because I don't have any table. There's nothing that we created in it. So I have to go back to history. I'll go back to Elax solution and click on it. No, no. Okay. All right. So when you come here, you can see, first of all, form builder. You see design form. You see layout form. You see layout list. You see show form. You see show list. So these are also related link. Now, if I click on show form, this is what I just created, right? So if it's going to, I ticked on what? Show life, the number. So the number that I created is going to show there. I will not be able to touch it, right? Nothing is going to do it. I will not be able to adjust this one, which will take us also to how do you make a field mandatory, compulsory, and all that. We'll still work on that. Now, I can put in my name, Moses, a tag, and a serial number. Oh, I chose the wrong one for serial number, but let me just say Germany. So if I say 75 and I click on submit, so there shouldn't be a number here, so I can take it out. It should be a phone number, so it should start with plus. All right, so now two things. If you click on save, invalid phone number. All right, I can leave it blank. So take note, if you did not make it mandatory, you can leave it blank and it's still all right. Now, if I click on save, for instance, I click on save. I've already sent what I've done, right? Now I can work, if I update this part again and click on insert, right? If I click on update, I will adjust what I just created because I'm still on that interface. So these three things is very important: save, insert, and stay. Now, you can only work on a field when you use insert and stay. So if I have multiple add-ons, like I have so many, a pile of people to add in service now, I will go to insert and stay. So if you keep saving, you'll be overriding the one you just saved now. And when you click update, is the last one which you've added that will show. So save, you will still be on that same page that you just worked on. Now you have to keep clicking save, but the moment you click update, you override that last table that has been created with that particular name. So we have to, whenever you are trying to do multiple additions, multiple applications, and you are creating it, make sure that you use what? Insert and stay. So it means that you've already inserted it, you sent it, you still want to be on that same page. So the next one, we got Moses, Mike. So you're still getting insert and stay. Now, if we change this one and add DE to it and we update it, all right, so let's go to show list. Now, if you notice what I told you, the last one, insert and stay, I had already created Mike. If you remember that I first created Mike, but the moment I used what update, automatically that Mike that I created was adjusted. Right, so you can see the mic that I created was adjusted. So I'm just going to show you I'm just going to show you table builder. I'm just showing the interface for table builder. So it's similar to what we just did, what we just done. All right, I just found what I was looking for. So when you're creating it, that's just the interface for your table builder. We're going to do that tomorrow. We're just going to work on that tomorrow. Now, what have we done today? What have we accomplished today? No, not this one. Why do I keep checking the wrong ones? All right, so I'm just going to go to my table. I'll go to my table again. So if you are confused, just go through the process. Then I'm going to type Elax solution. Elax solution. Should be U underscore U underscore Elax. Let's see what comes out. All right. So when you click on it, it takes us down to where you can see your form. You can redesign it. You can design your form again. This form with the initial form we've created, which is this one, you can redesign it. You can decide to take out your prefix if you want. You can leave your prefix if you don't. You can give control to it. We're going to work on access control. And also, now these are also ACL, access control list. Sorry, I was always missing for access level control. Access control list, a bit level, something of them. I missed that one anyway. Now, these are they are right to use. They are like CRUD. It's CRUD basically. Create, read, update, and delete. So these are access level where you are people have given this ability to either, for instance, you have a company and you only want people to create things. You don't want them to delete. So if someone made a mistake, you don't want them to have that right to delete. This is the this is the control list. This is the when you give them any of these roles, they will be able to perform each of the applications. So another one, security filter. So you can restrict people on what they can do with this security data filter. Now, this is one, just a label name. So the name we gave it initially, that is what earlier solution. This is the label solution. Now, this is the table name. Like I told you, on u_earlier solution is the table name. Now, when you go to your database index, it's primary because you created it, right? Now, under sysid, under UI Elax solution, this is the sysid. So it has its own unique sysid attributed to it. Now, you have your what table name under table subscription configuration, subscription model, non-application. These are things you can configure. If you don't have a user story to do most of all these things, they are not necessary. But if you have a user story that tells you this is what you need to do, this is what you have to do, then you need to do them. So that is what I have for today. So do you have any question before I leave? But I'm still going to drop the assignment on the group chat. And please guys, I know we have a very tight schedule sometimes, busy week. If I can create time for the lecture, please just create time for the assignment. It won't take you time. It's just to help every one of us on how to do this stuff, and so that we can understand. Because by doing them, you cannot learn service now and just use your head to learn service now. You have to practicalize it. So when you practicalize it, it makes it easier for you, because you get employed based on what you have done, not just what you know. Anybody can just claim experience. And also that remote table I was trying to explain the other time, it's just like it's a ServiceNow table. It's just a trail. It's an external system that ServiceNow access it remotely. So any system, for instance, you are connecting it to Jira. So that's where you can declare that table, you just click on remote, then you can link it to an external database. That is what that remote table is meant for.
Yeah, can I ask a question?
Yeah,
Yeah, with respect to these tables and forms,
yeah.
can't we create these things like under forms? Oh, we are doing like form builder and the rest. Okay, form builders has got those tables already existing, right? Before we'll
Yeah.
be able to
So
use them.
the straight answer is no. And do
Mm.
you know why? Because a table is where you will save those forms, the data you are getting from the forms, right? It's the table you are going to save it. So without you creating a table, those forms you saw, they were created under a table that a core table. Just for instance, you have your incident form. So what we just did is we edit it. Even at a point, they will ask you where that table, where you want to store that information. So you either choose, you're either going to, if you go back to your form builder, what we're trying to do the other time, there's a point where you will ask to save it to a table, and you will choose which table you want to save it on. Does that answer your question, please?
Yeah. You answered it.
All right. Any other question, please? Does everyone have any challenge, any or like any misunderstanding or and all that? All right. So if you have none, I'm just going to send you. I think I've got what I want right now, so I'm just going to paste it on these chats, this group chats. Assignment 5. So please let's just try and
This is assignment what 5?
yes,
The one we done before. Okay. Now I understand. Like the creation of the instance, all those kind of things, and
yeah,
logging in.
yeah,
We're part of the first. Okay.
exactly. So
Please, can you paste on the WhatsApp group chat instead of this one?
yes, so I'll paste on here and also paste on the WhatsApp group chat.
Okay.
So if you are new to us, you can just reach out, drop your message on the chat. The admin will answer all your questions. Yeah. If you have any, if you want to check all the videos we've had before, the admin is there also to help you, and she's going to drop this one. All right, guys. Do have a nice day and also a lovely week ahead.
Yeah. Thanks so
Yeah.
much. And also, I think encouraging people to do the service now course is also necessary because we can't even do the certification without completing the course,
I
even
know.
as we are watching
Yeah.
your video. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Take care, guys. Cheers.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.